Hello and welcome to Everyday Tarot, your daily dive into the divine wisdom of the tarot. I'm your host, Camille A. Saunders, healer, tarot enthusiast, and professional witch, and today I'm talking about Poseidon. Alright, whether you're a seasoned tarot reader or just starting to explore, this podcast offers daily insights, intuitive messages, and practical advice drawn from the cards. Each episode is designed to help you connect with your inner wisdom, find clarity in your decisions, and tap into the energy of the universe. Tune in every day, Monday through Friday, for fresh perspectives and empowering guidance from the tarot as interpreted by me. If you love the show, the best way to support it for free is by listening daily, leaving a review, and subscribing or following in your favorite podcast app. If you love the podcast and want to support it further, you can join the Everyday Tarot Patreon family. Benefits include getting an individual card pulled for you once a month live on the podcast, or if you'd like to support the podcast even further, you can get a one-time individual 5-card reading in addition to all the other benefits if you join the Witch Bitch level on the Patreon. I recently recorded an hour-long video episode for the new moon in Libra that we welcomed in on September 22nd, 2025. If you missed the live, you can check out the new moon in Libra collective tarot reading replay now to get all the latest info. And actually later today at 3 p.m. Pacific time, I'm going to be doing the next new moon collective tarot reading as we transition into the next season, into Scorpio season. And so you can go ahead and if you want, you can check out my YouTube, Camille A. Saunders channel, or head over to my Instagram, which is professional.witch, if you want to see the latest replay link that's on there. And then, going forward in my episodes, I'll link to the latest collective tarot reading. And you can always go back and watch prior tarot readings or collective ones in my Instagram reels or on my YouTube channel. As a bonus for the Queer Joy Summit that just wrapped up last week, I created a Queer Coven Spooky Tarot spread, and I wanted to give you all a chance to grab it, even if you weren't part of the summit. So it is a Halloween and queer themed 6-card spread. So the link is in the show notes to grab that now. I was also recently on Kayla Moore's Connected Pleasure podcast. You can check out my episode of Kayla's podcast where we talked all about living by the body, dreaming of land, and weaving the future. And Kayla can be found at connectedpleasurecoaching.com as well if you want to work with her one-on-one or learn more about her. I was on Kayla's podcast. Kayla was on my podcast, and I am looking for more guests to be on my podcast because I would like to put out a whole season of guests. So I'm going to need, I want 13 to fill out my 13 episode season. So if you're interested or know someone that might be a good fit, please fill out my form to be a guest on my podcast, and I'll have the link in the show notes for that. If you want to work with me more directly and don't live local to me, you can check out my Tarot for Transformation live course that I'm kicking off in January 2026. We're going to be deep diving the first 12 of the major arcana cards all together as we embody archetypes and learn how to transform ourselves through the tarot, doing one card a month. So it will be a very deep dive. So you can go ahead and sign up to get more details or let me know that you're interested so I can start sending you information. If you don't already know, I'm a sex and relationship therapist and coach, seeing clients individual and relational clients virtually all over from my home office. I love working with queer, poly, and witchy clients. So if you'd like to work with someone that doesn't judge you, is witchy just like you, and helps you learn how to deal with anxiety, chronic pain or illness, communication issues, self-advocacy, and sex, head to my website and book a free consultation now to start your journey. I also have listed my workshop for how to create your own tarot cards. And if you are like, I don't have any art skills, no worries. You get to learn how to create your own tarot cards with collage. So it's super easy. You get my full workshop, which has the hour-long recording where I walk you all through it, give you my step-by-step method, a list of my preferred supplies, all of which can be found for cheap at like the dollar store. You'll get examples of tarot cards I've created, journaling questions, and a PDF to walk you all through it for just $33. You can click the link in the show notes to purchase that now. And if you're interested in the 2025 5-card tarot spread I created just for you, my lovely listeners, at the beginning of this year, you can get that by joining my newsletter list. My weekly newsletter always has the most up-to-date info on upcoming events, presentations, musings, and info and photos of my day-to-day life. If you're local and you want to meet with me in person, you can come check out my Let's Talk Tarot meetup group, where we chat with other tarot enthusiasts, bring your favorite decks, and play with our decks all together. And if you're interested in celebrating the full moon or wanting a more ritual space, I'm holding full moon women's circles for the rest of 2025, so you can join my colleague Izzy and I under the glow of the full moon for an evening of connection, reflection, and ritual. We'll be meeting at Thresholds Collective in Tacoma the first Sunday of the month to welcome in the full moon together. And the next dates are November 2nd and December 7th, and tickets are already listed for those, so we do have attendance maximum. So if we get full, then sorry, you'll have to come to the next one. So make sure and go ahead and grab those tickets now. Get that on your calendar so that we can see you there. And you can find the links for any of these offers in the show notes or on my website, CamilleASaunders.com/everydaytarot, in addition to the images of the cards I pull on each episode. All right, so welcome to season 16, where I'm talking all about queer deities. If you haven't listened to my other seasons yet, you should check those out. And today I am talking about Poseidon. So we're going to get into the mythology, the queerness, the tarot affiliation, and then I will go ahead and dive in and see what the cards have to say, see what message Poseidon has for us today. So I'm going to be reading from my handy dandy Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets by Barbara G. Walker, all about Poseidon. So Poseidon was the Greek sea god corresponding to the Roman Neptune. He was, quote, greedy of earthly kingdoms, that is, his priests were, and so his myths tell how he took territories from various forms of the goddess. He pretended to marry the triple goddess herself under her name of Aphrodite and demoted her to a mere sea nymph. He tried to take Argolis from Hera and Athens from Athena. He claimed to have invented the horse bridle, though Athena had already done it. He demanded that women be deprived of their vote in Athens, and forbade men to continue taking the surnames of their mothers as they had formerly done. He even claimed husbandship of the venerable mare Demeter on the ground that he had once raped her in the form of a stallion. Yet Poseidon was an upstart god, transparently subject to the goddess in his earlier myths. He had, properly speaking, no name of his own, but was simply known as the spouse of earth. He only became a great god when his original nature and also the origin of his name were forgotten. Where Poseidon sent a flood on the Xanthian plain, the Xanthian women beat him off and saved their country by hoisting their skirts and marching on him with their genitals exposed. The doughty sea god beat a hasty retreat. So, red to filth, Poseidon, in this depiction of him. And I sort of vaguely remember Poseidon, or, the Neptune version of him from The Little Mermaid growing up, where you see the trident, right? Like that is associated with Poseidon and Neptune. If we get into kind of mythology and queerness of Poseidon, so on my favorite, pride.com, talking about queer gods, they talk about Poseidon as, according to Pindar's first Olympian ode, Pelops, the king of Pisa, once shared Aphrodite's sweet gifts with the ocean god himself, and Pelops for a time was taken to Olympus by Poseidon and trained to drive the divine chariot. And so this was part of this queerness depiction. What else? Yeah, so Poseidon, so there was a rumored love story between Poseidon and Pelops. So again, Poseidon, god of the sea, also known for his love affairs, and with his main love interest being Aphrodite, his consort. Just like Zeus, most of his lovers were female, meaning the one documented homoerotic affair is often discarded when people think about his mythology. And there is an overemphasis on Poseidon's sexual relationships with women because many of his lovers were female, or even most. And there is this sort of common issue with the retelling of ancient Greek mythology that right before becoming king to the Peloponnesian regent, Pelops was the apprentice to Poseidon and always by his side. Poseidon had a special bond with Pelops, even gifting him a chariot with winged horses, right, giving gifts. However, it's interesting to note that the retelling of their relationship followed the conventions of the typical ancient Greek homoerotic affair, which is with a more powerful protector figure, which would be Poseidon in this case, becoming romantically involved with a younger figure or Pelops. I also talked about this with Zeus. And there is like a power dynamic between Poseidon and Pelops partially because of this like historical nature in ancient Greece. Ancient Greek society was known to be more fluid, driven by lust and status, and not restricted to binary notions of sexuality with which we are familiar in more modern times. There was no emphasis on labels, but they had this sort of maybe preoccupation with rank and reputation. So it was common for rich elderly men to have affairs with and kind of effectively groom younger, more vulnerable men to showcase their power and status. So these like homosexual affairs were common in all aspects of ancient life, including like in the military. So let's see. So yeah, well, also I have yet to talk about it, but I will also be talking about Achilles and Patroclus. They are also fall into this, I guess they're the sort of one exception to this kind of like power play. Because Achilles, I would say almost like, yeah, Patroclus is older, but they grow up together. And there is like I would say still a power dynamic in status perhaps, but it actually figures a lot more into the storyline between the two of them. Okay, so let's see. Anything else? About Poseidon that I want to share. Let's get into the tarot affiliations. So Poseidon, right, also known as Neptune specifically being associated with the sea, right, actually both of them with the sea, so it could definitely be associated with like the whole suit of cups because it is like the water sign, the ocean, right, the like wateriness. So again, like Poseidon could be associated with that whole suit. Other cards that I thought of were the moon, because the moon is also affiliated with Neptune, and sort of again the wateriness, the subconscious, that would be affiliated with Poseidon, and apparently also the Hanged Man has a Neptune affiliation as well. Right, the Hanged Man is often this like gaining perspective, like thinking about needing to pause to like make sure you don't get stuck, and to think about spiritual enlightenment, and that there's sort of this slowing down. And there is this like Neptunian energy of like, again, if we think of like how Pisces is depicted in the zodiac, that there's like mystery and like a liminal sense that takes center stage because of the astrological association with Neptune in the Hanged Man card. Also at home in the energy of the Hanged One is the underworldly Greek god of dreams, Morpheus. So not what I'm going to specifically talk about, but Morpheus like permeates the subconscious of deities and humans alike, shaping dreams and liminal spaces. And then like in the underworld, he's also the messenger of the god, much like Hermes. So Hermes is sort of like operating in the overworld, as we will call it, but Morpheus is the one that's sort of in the underworld there. So yeah, so that's kind of like the only other card that I sort of thought of was Poseidon with the Hanged Man or Hanged One. All right, so let's go ahead and pull a card to see what message Poseidon has for us. I'm going to pull from the Anima Mundi tarot deck by Megan Wyrowenden. I guess because of this like sea god element, I want the like animals that are in that deck. That's what I'm thinking of. And I'll be very curious to see if we get any of the cards that I talked about that are affiliated with Poseidon. So, all right. So what message does Poseidon have for us today? Is there anything we need to know? Any messages here? Okay. I had some cards fall out, but a lot of them. So we're gonna do a quick another shuffle. Okay, interesting. I got the Justice card, which depicts a lion and a sword on it in this deck. Justice. There we go. So it says the Justice card is objective, fair, and honest. It may indicate a need to bring balance back into your life. Again, if we think of the scales of justice, the balancing act. Be aware that every action has consequences. If you are dealing with a legal matter, know that justice will prevail. So upright, it's about justice, legal matters, fairness, balance, decision-making, cause, and effect. And if it were reversed, it would be about dishonesty, lack of accountability, and bias. I pulled this upright, so we'll go with that one. And it's interesting that the card that comes after this is the Hanged Man. And so I'm like, ooh, there's like something there where we're finding justice, maybe before we need to shift our perspective. And also it's kind of like a get things quartered away was what I was going to say. That's not right, but like lock in, as the kids say these days. And like get everything orderly, right? Like if you think about going to court or in a justice setting, right? Like making sure you have all your paperwork, making sure you have all your things. I feel like that's the message that Poseidon is sending here is like, okay, make sure you do that. And that way, right, as we enter into more of the Hanged Man perspective or the Hanged One, where our perspective is going to shift, like we will be ready and like our foundation will be set for that, and that we'll be feeling this balance. So also maybe we're being called to, right, take some things off our plate, find some balance, some work-life balance, some life-work balance in our lives right now, and to kind of let go of things that we don't really need anymore. All right. Well, that was a shorter one today, but thanks for joining me today on Everyday Tarot. Just as a reminder, the podcast comes out daily, Monday through Friday for all of 2025. What else do I want to say? If you want to be a guest on the podcast or you have someone that you think would be a great guest, please reach out or send them the link to my Be a Guest on My Podcast form so that I can get their information and start crafting and reaching out and scheduling. And you can always email me at me@CamilleASaunders.com with your thoughts, questions, and more. All right, see you soon. Bye-bye.